So today we're going to take what we did one step further from last week. Last week we did the X game where we found the number that would multiply to what's on top, and then whatever that was, we had to add to the number that's on bottom. So for this particular question, we had to multiply to 6 and then add to 5. Well, we have to come up with two different equations here. The first equation always starts with our x squared. Then we take what's on the bottom, so in this case 5, and it gets an x with it. And then we put what's on top, which is a plus 6. First equation is now complete. Now the second step is to create our factored equation. To create this factored equation, we take the two numbers that we used to multiply and add to create our factored expression. So you take two sets of parentheses and x and x. That's how you always start it. Then from there, you take the numbers that you found and you plug it in. So in this case, we found a 3 and a 2. To determine if it is a plus or a minus in between our variable x and our numbers 3 and 2 is based off of the sign of the number. So as we can see here, this 3 and the 2 are both positive, so we're going to put plus signs in between. And that's how we create our factored expression. We have our original expression and then our factored. So let's look at the next one. So we multiplied to 12, so that's what gets added at the end. We always start with our x squared. And then because we have a negative 7, it's going to be subtracting 7x. There's our first expression. The next one is with the parentheses. We have our x and our x, and then we use the numbers right here. So in this case, negative 4 and negative 3. Let's look at the next one. So always start with x squared. Then it's a 1, so we get plus 1x, or it can be written without the 1 and look like that, and minus 30. Then you have your parentheses, so we have x plus 6 and x minus 5, because that is what is provided right here. So you pause here and try the next three on your own. So if you're just joining back, you can see all of the answers provided here. You should be able to tell we did all the hard work last week, creating our factored expressions, so the ones with the parentheses. That's the easy part now. We're just creating the expression based off of the work we did last week. So now we're going to switch gears and we are going to go through a couple of the questions on the worksheet that you guys are doing today. We're going to start off looking at number 1. We're going to follow our X game process, so draw your X. Whatever we multiply goes to on top and adds to goes on the bottom. So the number that we multiply to is always the last number, so in this case it's 7. And then the number that we add to is the middle number. So in this case, it's 8. Now, let's figure out how do you multiply and get to 7? Well, there's only one option, 1 times 7. So then from there, we're going to add them together, and we get 8, which works, so we put a 1 and a 7. You're not done yet. The next part is where we take our two parentheses and write our answer in factored form. So you would have c plus 1 and c plus 7. All right, let's do number 5. So I draw my x. I multiply to 10 because that's the last number. And I add to 11 because that's the middle number. To get to 10, I have 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. Well, I know 1 times 10, 1 plus 10 is 11, which is what I'm looking for. So I use 1 and 10. Factored form is s plus 1 and s plus 10. So something to note here, it does not matter the order in which you put them. I could have put my 10 first and then my 1. It's going to give me the same answer regardless. All right, next up, let's do number 7. First, draw your X. That should be your first step on all of them. Figure out what you're multiplying to. So in this case, it's negative 54. Because there's a minus sign in front of the 54, it goes with it. And then I'm adding to 3. So to multiply to 54, I have 54 times 1. I have 27 times 2. I have 18 times 3. And 9 times 6. Now, because this is a negative, instead of adding this time, I'm going to subtract. I want to subtract and get 3, and so that's 9 and 6. So I have 9 and negative 6. B plus 9 and B minus 6. The reason why I knew to keep my 6 negative here is for the fact that it's ending in a positive 3. If that 3 would have been negative, then I would flip-flop them and 6 would be positive and 9 would be negative. Number 10, the last one I'm going to do with you, and then you are to complete the rest on your own or with a friend. So right away when I see this and I don't see any numbers, I'm going to put my 1 there so I don't forget that it is a negative 1. I draw my X. Multiply to negative 56, and I add to a negative 1. So to get to 56, 56 times 1, and times 2, so I have 28 times 2, 4 times 14, and 7 times 8. Again, because that top number is negative, that means I am subtracting. I want to get to 1. So I know I'm using 8 and 7. But because I want it to be a negative 1, I need to change the order so it's 7 minus 8. So 7 is positive, 8 is negative. So I have Z plus 7 and Z minus 8. So go ahead and finish the remaining 8 questions. I will collect this on Friday for a grade, so make sure you get it done. Have a good day.